hello everybody and welcome to Bozar and welcome to Continental Drift. It's very lovely to see you all here in this lovely space. My name's Clymene. I'm going to be moderating this session today. Now, I'm a director of ISIS Arts in Newcastle and I'm a board member of Culture Action Europe here in Brussels. ISIS Arts is a producing organisation based in Newcastle in the north of the country, and we work with artists and with communities to create work that reflects the people and the place. We're current recipients of a large Creative Europe grant and working with 11 partners across the continent, a project which draws threads between communities on the edge of Europe. In the summer, we brought 30 artists and producers to Blythe in southeast Northumberland, in the former coalfield district, to a little town that is economically very deprived. Now, it's the town that has received significant structural funds, but it's the town that feels itself very distant from the Brussels that we see in this room today. The people there were super welcoming to our guests and they were very generous, but the town at the end of the day opted to leave the European Union. Culture Action Europe, many of you may know, is the political platform for culture based in Brussels. We have amongst our members people, organisations like ISIS Arts, but also, of course, much, much larger national and international networks. We strive to find a place for culture in society today to create fair and equal societies and to be where the decisions are made, whether that's at a EU level, at a national level, or at a local level. And we do this with our partners and in places across the continent. Now, this is the third event that we've had in our, noticing my number woman suddenly, third event that we've had on the subject of Brexit. The first now was a whole year ago in London. Some of you were there. The second was in Manchester, both before the referendum. This is our first event in Brussels, and this is the first event that we have done since the referendum result. We're very pleased to be here. The event has been conceived with our partners, the European Cultural Foundation, which we're delighted to be doing, and hosted by our partners here at Bozar. Now, I've not been informed of any fire alarms or anything like that, so if you hear one, it's probably best to get out. We'll let you know. I'm delighted to have our panel that we have here today, and I'm going to very quickly introduce you to them all. Put my specs on for that and make sure I get the titles right. We have, sitting at the front, who will join us at the moment, we have Jill Evans, who's an MEP for Wales. We have, by video intervention, Julie Ward, who is an MEP for the northwest of England. They are both on the Cult Committee. We will hear from her later. We will then move to the panel, and we have Bernd, sitting by me here, who's the director of the European Creative Business Network. I chose that one, and other ones you will see. We have Asia Kavrakova, who's the director of the European Citizen Action Service. Jeannie Scott from the UK, who's a director of AN. Harriet Finney, who's the deputy CEO of the Creative Industries Federation, also from the UK. And Friso, I didn't ask you to pronounce your surname, Viersum from our partner ECF. Thank you. So, I'm going to set the scene for the day today very briefly. But before I do that, I want to read you, quite worked out how to do this with a microphone in my hand. I want to read a small poem to you, very, very brief. So this is a poem by a young woman, a teenager, based in Newcastle. Her name is Danny Watson. Now, she wrote this as part of a project where we worked with others, with young people looking at how they would vote in the European referendum and what they would say. The question they were asked is, should we stay or should we go? This is Danny Watson in her words. Dear Europe, unfortunately, divorce has been contemplated. Our relationship has turned to, it's complicated. It's been a while since we really communicated, And as things have become so frustrated, the things I still love about you must be stated. I love Greek tzatziki and Swedish meatballs, the graffiti drawn on Berlin's walls. I love Spanish weather and French cathedrals and Italian men in tiny Speedos. I like the Colosseum and the Leaning Tower of Pisa and easy travel without a visa. I love democracy and human rights and sunny holidays with cheaper flights. I love everything French except Marine Le Pen, but Toulouse and Paris and Nice and Rennes. Our little island seems quite alone, isolated from our European home. I must admit that I think we're better ensemble, insieme, juntos, together. Danny. So yes, it's complicated. It's complicated. The divorce is inevitable. We now need to work out what happens and how we work with that. So today we're going to look at 3 key issues and talk around those. The first being the uncertainty that this has brought up for all of us. What is at risk? The second is around citizenship and perhaps the responsibility that we have as a cultural sector to develop new spaces for dialogue. Then we're going to look at the future, notions around models and ways forward that we might have. At Culture Action Europe, we've been doing quite a bit of work around this, and some of you will have seen that we produced a little guide to the UK-EU negotiations, and I have a slide here that we're putting up now, which is very small and difficult to see, but the premise of it is that it's starting to do some thinking about what it is that we currently have as full members of the European Union, and what might be at risk or what would change were we to adopt any of the other models that have been discussed in the process so far. So looking at things like access to the single market and freedom of movement